Gemara, Perek Brachos, Daf Yud Beis, Amud Beis. Bikshu likvoa Parshas Balak b'Kriyas Machulu. So in Gemara Brachos, they wanted to place Parsha of Balak in Kriyas Ma. Mishum dichsiv ba haikra karashachav ka'arichulu, because it says that he crouched and lie down like a lion. Ayin b'Rashi u'Marsha, and look at what Rashi says in Marsha, chot finasa mitzvos, and saying Shema and so forth. Karach shachav, to lie and bow down. Hainu kriyash ma shalayla, that refers to kriyash ma of nighttime. Dichsiv be v'shoch becha, that it says that you should lie down when you lie down. In Shema, ukilavi mikimenu, and like a young lion who can lift him up or get him up. Hainu kriyash ma shal shachris, that refers to the Shema of the morning. Dichsiv be v'kumecha chulu, that it says when you get up. Veshuv matzasi b'tanchuma demaisi kradli ilminei, and I've already found in Tanchuma where it brings the previous pasuk in kilavi yakum chulu, that the nation will get up like a young lion. Lo yishkav ad yochal teref, and you should not lie down until he eats his prey, chulu, and so forth. V'hu nachon tfei b'drush zeh in kriyash mashal shachris v'arvis chulu ad kan l'shono, and that seems to more properly fit the idea of shachris, shema of shachris and shema of arvis in the order of the pasuk. Kilavi yakum first, and then yishkav ad yochal teref. Gam Balak milashon chorban. Balak is also from the language of destruction, opesicha, or an opening, kamoshikas, will be Yeshaya Kaf Daled Aleph, like it's brought in Yeshayahu. Bokeh ka'aretz uvolka, ubenachum simin bez Yud Aleph, boka umuvuka umuvulaka. So you have the concept of to break up the earth and to balak it, to destroy it. In Nachum, it also brings it that it's broken, and muvuka and muvulaka, also meaning destroyed. Perushashi buka rikanis. So what does this mean? Buka it means empty. Muvulaka mufuretzis b'chumosea. Muvulaka means that its walls are broken through. Vahalaz to brachin iri moirin. And the Yiddish would be to break its walls. V'tagum Yonasan beziza mizbaziza upesicha tra arkan l'shono. And Yonasan translates that it's beziza, and it's who's from Lashon Bizayon, and you have Mizbazes from Lashon Bizayon, an embarrassment, or to put it down, and its gates are opened. So then Muvulaka would be not just broken walls, but open gates. That its gates are opened. So we have another meaning in Balak then, Imkain, in Vayar Balak. If so, that Balak saw im nefarash lashon psicha, if you want to explain it as meaning an opening, hainu al derech mashakaz binyan palishtim litzanim hayu. So we could say that it's from the language like palishtim, that they were jokers. Lashon mavoi hamafulash. That palishtim is from the language of mefulash, open, and hepech kabbalah sol malchus shemayim, the opposite of acceptance of the yoke of heaven. And this is a city that's broken and without walls. So that's the gates are open, meaning that it's open without acceptance of the yoke of heaven. Because the wall His Torah, Mein Mashakas al Pasuk Tzidkas Pirzono, Oros de To Bilti Mugbalim Bekli, Al Kain Nikra Pirzono. So you have these lights that are not confined to a vessel. Therefore, it's called the spread out, the tzedakah that's spread out. Ki hachoma magbil, because the choma, a wall, confines it, and is like a kli, kamo amochin magbilim umitzamtzimim amidos ve'aratzon. Just like the intellect confines and contracts the emotions and the will, she'yeh kach v'kach, that it should be in a certain way, kamo chiyuv ha'seichel chulu, like the intellect's the obligation of the intellect that it should be this way or that way. That's how the Torah is called a wall. And the wall of is also the same letters as a seal or a boundary. Like the pasuk, seal the Torah in my learners. So you have if you have the Oros of Tohu, so the Mochin confine it. So you have a concept of Prasos Teshev, which is Mitzara Kedusha, the opposite, to spread out. But in Klippa Chas v'Shalom, you have the Mefulash. V'hine Balak Savar Lefi Sheshor Shom Tohu Shelamayla Matikun. And now Balak held that since his source is from Tohu, that's higher than Tikun, Alkin in Tzarech Lios Misyaram Yisrael. Therefore, he did not have to fear Israel. Shemchinas Tikun Lirosh Mochin, which is the concept of the world of fixing, for me ahead, which is Yisrael. Like we said, the Mochin intellect is what confines the emotions, of Tohu, that the Shiras HaKelim is in the Midas. I'm Bidibur Maschil Tzid Kaspir Zono Anal, for Af Shitzias Mitzrayim Yada. Even though he knew about going out of Mitzrayim, he was not afraid, because he was from the father, from Lot. Zera Shem, also from Zera Shem in that Canaan, like Admas B'nei Chamim. Mash'en Kin Mitzrayim Canaan Chulu, Gimel Klippos HaTameo, so Canaan is from the three completely impure Klippos, of Alhu Klippos Noga Chulu, but Shem, and Moab is from Klippos Noga, and Chashav she's Bader, but Atzmo Shlo Al Yidei Tikun Chulu, he thought he could be purified, not through Israel, not through Tikun. Al Yidei Vayar Balak, and like David HaMelech Taka was from Lot. Al Yidei Vayar Balak is Asher Asa Yisrael Emori, but through Balak seeing what Yisrael did to the Emori, and that's why he was afraid, because Sichon and Og, we could say, it's on the name of your like the Navi says, and in Yechezkel, your father is the Amori. And also because they were from the giants, and they defeated them anyways, and so that's why he was afraid. And look at Medrash Rabbah, Parshas Lech Lecha, when he says to Lot, separate from me. Vayar, so Vayra, so Parsha Nun Aleph, Parsha Nun Beis, Gabi Ach Nifsha Mekir Yasos Chulu, says a brother. It brings the pasuk. A brother is Nifsha is a sin from a strong city, or more than a strong city. That is to say, that Lot was completely pushed off to the three completely impure klippos. So, what happened when Avram separated from Lot? It was the concept of that he didn't stay in klippos noga. Rather, he was pushed off and separated into the three completely impure klippos. So that was the mistake of Balak, that really he could not be purified in the way he thought. And that's the concept of being separated. Vayar Moav. Now Moav was afraid. Beis Yud Reish Kuf. Akeda Kaf Beis. Now the Akeda brings B'Shem HaMechilta B'Shvila Akeda Chulu. Because of the Akeda. That why was Moav afraid? He was afraid because of the Akeda. Nitzol Yisrael min Bilam. And that's how we were saved from Bilam, Miklalosov, from his curses, and Micherev Shel Paro, and from the sword of Paro. So Gimel, Balak, Kuf Pehei. So from Aleph to Hakadei, Ihu Havirav, that Zohar brings, that's the way he was great, Virav Havazi Irchulu, and the great one became small. Kihine Inyan Virav Yavud Sa'ir. So here you have the concept of Yaakov, that Yitzchak blessed that the great one should serve the young one. Hainu al yidei birur nefesh habahamis, to purifying the animalistic soul, shemiklipas noga, from the klipas noga. That's like the concept of Esav Yisrael, purifying Esav. That's K'moshikaza b'Torah or b'sof Parshas Vayeshev dibur hamaskil v'nasati lechem mahalchim al yidei biruzeh. And through this concept of purification, now so Yisrael bebechinas Rav, so Yisrael becomes the great one. That's and it's like the purification of Esav for Yisrael to become the Bechor. Look, it's brought in all your sons in great peace. And that's the concept of all Rav comes from Bavel, that they reach the level of Rav and instead of Seir. This is also the idea of I placed you as one who is growing from the fields. In Yechezkel, the birth of the nation, so all the concept of Yisrael as a nation being Rav in comparison to Esav and the nation of Esav, and the Nefesh HaBahamis, about the idea of how I sowed you in the land, that a person only sows something in order to grow a much greater amount, that they get back a multiplied amount in comparison to what they sowed. So it's the same thing. You have the Tzeir that becomes Rav. Further we can say Inyan Ki Ravhu, the concept of that he is great, like the pasuk says, the man who was great amongst the giants, that referring to the Avos or Avraham, that even though Israel his root is in Zerampin, but through the elevation of the feminine waters and the drawing down of the masculine waters, we draw down from Arich and from the great kindness. So that's the concept of Rav again, that Yisrael is able to become not just Ze'er, but Rav. So you have the concept of Ze'er Anpin and Arich Anpin, which is Rav Chesed. And so you're able to, through the efforts, become Rav from Ze'er. Me'enyan Vayagor Moav ben Megale Mukosofo fin Lamed Heir min Yigor Sadusa Sof Parshas Vayetze Vayagor Moav. So you have this concept of why was Moav afraid? Because they had made this story of Lot with Yaakov, how they made this Yigar Sadusa, these rocks, which was a promise not to hurt each other. So he was afraid of that promise. Yaakov's Moav mipnei bnei Israel, and Yaakov was in Moav could not stand in front of Bnei Israel, couldn't stand them. Perish b'ksav yad kodesh, shem shil u'esatzmem lakotzim, be'erech Bnei Israel, that they compared themselves to thorns in comparison to Bnei Israel, shenimshelu legefen, and within the allegory that Yisrael is compared to a grapevine, shneamar gefen mimitzrayim tasiya, like it says, I will lift up a grapevine from Egypt. Tegaresh goyim tita'el, I will uproot nations, send them away like uprooting weeds and so forth, and I will plant it in the land. B'tilim simin pei, pasuk in Tehillim, ki b'noeg sh'ba'olam, because the way it works in the world, shkeshebala saderot salita kerem b'sadeh malea kotzim, when someone wants to plant a field with vines, and the field is full of thorns. Azu oker hakotzim u'mashlicham zera hala. Then he pulls up all the thorns and he throws them out in order to plant in its place the grapevine. And that's what it means, in front of Bnei Israel. Doesn't mean in front of them, but to make room for Bnei Israel. It doesn't say in front of Yisrael, because Yisrael is not there, the original Yisrael. Shekfar halach lo'olamo, banav yevo shamuchul, and his sons will come there to inherit the land. Adkan dvarav, that's the end of his words, Ziksav Yad Kodesh. Perhaps it's Ziksav Yad Kodesh from Alter Rebbe. Ve'asi Shapir, it makes sense, Lefi Hanal, according to this, Shemoav haba milod, Haya meklipas noga, that Moav, who comes from Lot, was from Klipas Noga, from Avram's family, Elkin Berach Gimel Klipas Atameus, so Adif, if so, then he is certainly greater and better than the three completely impure Klippos. Masha'ein Kain Legabe Yisrael, but that's in comparison to the Klippos, which is not the case in comparison to Israel. Nasuka Kotzim Chulu, they become just like thorns. And look at the idea of thorns and Medrash Rabbah. We don't gather them, but chita, wheat, we do gather. Depends what you're comparing it to. So Klepas Noga, in comparison to Kedusha, has no mile. Vaim b'me'orei or oskuf samechtatz v'zelashon quotes nikra d'chura de klipa, that the salient thorn is called the masculine of the klipa, blial quotes, and the wild one is called in the pasuk is compared to a thorn. So blial is another name for the klipa, the masculine of klipa. V'chol sfiros of nikra kotzim, and all the sfiros of the klipa are called thorns. And a cave nikra dardar, and the feminine is called another kind of thorn. The siman of gekotz the dardar arkan l'shon, and the siman for them are, like it says by Noach, that gekotz and dardar will grow for you, is part of the klalos, the klala of the land by Adam Arishon. Chava, so I guess one for him, one for her, one klala, the masculine and feminine klippas for their avera with the tree, the height of the tree. We can further awaken to the idea of Moab being fearful. On the verse that it's fearsome, like a tower, like towers, and that is because it is high, is great. Or galos could be flags, like a high flag. A high flag implies fearsomeness. And that's why it says that he was afraid of him because he's Rav, from the language of Dagul Mirvava, of like a flag that's high, and Ravava from the language of Rav. Vayom and Moab. And Moab said, Kilcho Chashur, like the licking of the ox. Ba'em Kamelach Shar. Aleph Kuf Samech, Perek Ches, Mud Kaf Ches, Koach HaYetzer Hara. So it brings the Koach Mem Vavdal is Koach HaYetzer Hara, there is the strength of the Yetzer Hara, Hu Ashur, is the ox. Shiotze Mehevel Piv Eshel Gehinom, that comes out of his the breath of his mouth, the fire of Gehenna, a fire-breathing ox. Balak so you have the licking is the licking of the fire. Ubishar Resha Deza Perek Lamen He Kilcho Chashur Es Yerek Hasada Hem Neshamos Hayotzim Zivug Chakal Tapuchin Kadishin. So you have like the licking of the ox, of the grass of the field, or the neshamo, so the grass of the field, from the union of the holy apple orchard. So you have the concept of Malchus, parts of Malchus Chakal Tapuchin Gadishin. So you have this field. So what are the neshamos are the grass of the field, and that's the smell. That's Baruch Hashem. That's Reach Beni, the smell of the field that Hashem blessed. That's Yaakov, Adkanashon Ovain Be Me'ori Or, which is Knesset Yisrael. Looking Me'ori Or, Os Yud Simin Lam Gimel, B'Zohar Chelik Beis Mishpatim, Kuf Kaf Amad Aleph, Kilcho Chashur B'Chinas Yosef. Yosef, like licking of the ox is the concept of Yosef, who's a Shur, Shenikra B'Chor Shur, the firstborn ox, Vainu Mashiach ben Yosef. And that is the Mashiach ben Yosef, the son of Yosef, as Yerek HaSadeh, the grass of the field. And that's the concept of when wicked sprout forth like grass. So in this context, and from Zohar Mishpatim, it compares the ox to Yosef and the wicked to the grass. Mashiach ben Yosef.